Hey guys, this week I thought I'd do a short review of 3 miniatures that I picked up at Salute this year. They're from a company called Origen. I'm not entirely sure whether that's the correct pronunciation, but they're a small stand. I sort of came across them by accident really and looked at their miniatures. They have a range of about 6 or 7 miniatures, I think. It's not a massive range, but they are absolutely gorgeous miniatures. So I've picked up 3 of them and I thought I'd give you a quick look and show you them. So I've got the Fawn bust, I have the Siren, you can just see in the background there. She's a sort of mermaidy type creature, and I have a female warrior. So the packaging for these two is fairly basic. They're clamshell, plastic clamshells, nicely packed. You can see the miniature there, bit of art on the front of it, and the same with this one. It's all very nice, well packed, quite pleased with the packing. Nothing's particularly bent, even the spear on this one. That's actually resin and it's fairly straight, wouldn't take too much. This one, this is the big one of the group. It comes with a nice little art card, which is actually a painted version of the miniature, and they've just done some Photoshop work just to make it look a bit more sort of art related, so that's quite nice, and it's limited edition, so that's quite nice. And again, it's just packed in bags, again packed fairly well. So we'll have a quick look at the miniatures, and whilst this is going on I'll try and put up some pictures of the sort of the final painted results that they've got on their website, so hopefully you'll be able to see those as well. So this is the Fawn miniature, and I shall get it out of the packaging. So this is a fairly standard bust. It's even actually got a mounting hole in there, and I shall zoom in on these as well. We've got 2. One of them already broke off the resin sprue. These are all resin, by the way, but it's nothing major. I mean, there's nothing damaged about it. It'll quite happily stick on. So these actually sort of go on the head like that, so you end up with sort of horns on it. So I'll quickly zoom in and we'll have a good close-up look. So here we are. You can see the mounting points in the head. The details and the actual casting is incredibly crisp. There is a not insignificant mould line going down her side and along there, which is actually fairly major, to be honest, but with a bit of cleaning up it'll be absolutely fine. On this side there's no mould line at all. You can't really see it at all, so it is just on this side of the miniature, and there's a gate on her arm there as well, so that's going to need a bit of clean up. But beyond that, the details are absolutely fantastic on this miniature. They are truly gorgeous. You can even pick out the stitching along the side. I'd say she's probably technically 75mm size, 1/24 or somewhere around there. For reference, we have our finial there, and I promise one day I will finish her off. So there, and we've got the kitty Raver that I showed you last week, so for reference there you go. So actually possibly a little bit bigger, to be honest. So yeah, difficult to tell on scale really, but absolutely beautiful details. Everything is really well cast, really nice sculpting, and excellent detail all round. Bit of cleanup needed, but nothing too major. The hair is fantastic. It's all sort of combed and comes to points. The ears are The ears are sharp at the top. You can see there, tip of the ear, things like that. She's even got a nose ring. You've got a tiny little nose ring in there. Absolutely fantastic details. It's going to be brilliant to paint, this one is. So that's the body. I'll pull one of the horns up for you. So again, really nice, and you've actually got, these are actually sort of rings going through the horn that you can just see. Just see on there. The gate joins quite nicely. There's another gate up at the top, very slight one. It's not going to be too much effort to clean up. And again, the details are crisp and sharp, very nicely made. No major mould lines on this one. Same with the other one, obviously. This one sort of prematurely came off the sprue whilst it was in the box. And again, you can just see the gate on the other side there. So that's all quite nice. And again, another ring through, but nothing wrong with it at all. So they'll fit quite nicely on the head as well. There are some minor casting issues I've just noticed on the top of the head. You've got bubbles and a bit of a gate there. That will need a bit of green stuffing to fill up, but not too tremendously bad. I've certainly seen worse. I have to admit, it's not the greatest casting in the world. That casting line is fairly bad, and they're irritating, but certainly workable, especially in the hair. Hair's easy to sort of sculpt, sort of a fix, not sculpt but fix, because all you're doing is just sort of dragging lines over it, and as long as they match up with the lines that are already in the hair, you're good to go. Luckily these are actually sort of on skin areas, so as long as you get it nice and flat, you know, sort of take a bit of really fine sandpaper to it, a couple of hundred grit, scrape it all down, scrape it back, and take it back with the really fine sandpaper. You'll be absolutely fine. You won't see that in the final result. It's a bit of a shame really, because it is an absolutely gorgeous cast, and she is going to be gorgeous to paint up. So that's the Fawn. She'll zoom back out again. She'll put her away. And we shall move on with the female warrior. So again, there's a lot of parts for this. This is a true 28mm rather than heroic scale. It's not sort of heroic scale as in sort of Games Workshop type things. It's not sort of bulky. She's very slender, like the sort of Studio McVeigh miniatures really. So I'm just going to tip her out, and then I shall zoom in just a bit so we can see her. So she comes in several pieces, and as you can see, the main body, again, she is 28mm. There she is next to our finial, so you can see feet to feet, head to head, it's pretty much identical really. Nothing really in them. And as we can see, if I zoom in, there we go. Again, detail is absolutely fantastic. This one doesn't really have any casting lines. There's a few little bits of flashing that will need to be cleaned up, and there's the occasional bubble down on a sleeve in that case, but it doesn't look like there's anything major that needs to be done to her. A couple of scrapes with a knife should clean her up quite nicely. These are literally straight out of the box. I haven't done any cleaning on these at all. There don't seem to be any gates on her at all, which is quite surprising. There's a bit of a line going down her sleeve there, which will need a bit of a clean up, but again, that will probably get picked up by a knife quite easily. I would have expected more gates. Obviously she's been cast sort of from that, but I would have expected gates on the top, otherwise you're going to get more bubbles, but apparently not. So there you go, details are fantastic. The folds in the dress have come out really nicely, they look brilliant. She's even got a bit of filigree work on her boots down at the bottom. and you can even pick out the stitching. I'll try and zoom in a bit more. There you go. You can pick out the stitching on her top. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous miniature again. Really, really nice sculpting, properly nice sculpting. So that's the main body. You've also got a shield that she's holding, fairly plain. You can certainly do your own designs on it. Honking great gate on it. Obviously that will need trimming off very, very carefully. I mean, this is resin, so it's really quite delicate. Nice details on the back. You don't often see this on shields. There's quite a nice sort of chain and ring effect, and then a sort of leather backing on it where it joins, and you've got the straps already moulded on it where it joins onto her arm. And on the front you've got a bit of filigree work at the top and a little bit at the bottom, just for a bit of detail, but the actual sort of main area is completely empty, so you could do a nice pattern in there, things like that. There is a raised edge all the way around it as well. You can just sort of catch the light on it. There we go. So you can see it's just got a very slight raised edge all the way around it. Very, very nice. Probably need a bit of polishing just to get it really smooth, but you're going to have to be very, very careful because this is so thin. It's just so thin. But yeah, pretty good, pretty functional for a shield. Then we've got a few other bits and bobs. This confused me at first. This bit is actually her dress and goes up that way. So this bit sort of attaches to her. I'll see if I can show you where it goes. There we go. So it sort of goes on the back there and sort of joins in, and I can't really position it too well with this, but you can see it kind of sort of joins in, and that joins up there, and it all sort of tucks in behind there to give you a sort of fold in the dress as well. I'm sure, I haven't tested it, but I'm sure it'll fit better once it's actually off the sprue and cleaned up. Again, just minor amounts of flashing. In fact, it just comes off like that. You've got a gate on the end of the scabbard there, and this confused me for a little while. She's actually holding, if you notice, her hand is there. She's actually holding onto her helmet, so that sort of goes on that hand there, or on that hand, I can't remember. By the way, I'll put up pictures of these whilst I'm talking, of the painted miniatures that they've got on their website, so you can see what it looks like when it's completely finished and painted up. So they're quite nice. Again, good detail on the helm. It's got sort of nice shape to it. Very nice. I mean, that is incredibly thin. I would have expected that to just not get cast, just bubble out, but no, it's all good. So we also have the spear. So again, it's got a hand cast on it, so we can just mount it. It is a little bit bent. I mean, there's nothing major in that at all, to be honest. That's perfectly livable with. I mean, if you need to, hot water and a bit of pressure will quite happily bend this back. There's a minor gate on the end of the spear there, you can see, and again, a bit of gentle knife work will take that off. But absolutely lovely. I mean, incredible detail on these things. I mean, that hand is just absolutely minuscule. It really is. The rest of it, there's no real detail on it. It is just a rod, essentially. I mean, if you wanted to, you could sort of clip the hand off, drill it through, clip that off, drill it through, and replace that whole thing with a bit of brass, if you really wanted to. So again, I'll just pack that away. And we'll move on to the last one. This one I'm going to have to zoom out for, because she is fairly huge, certainly bigger than I expected. Absolutely lovely box, sort of, I presume a sort of limited edition box. Nice sort of silvered picture on the front. Huge bits of foam to protect it, and two very big bags of bits. So mainly, there's a lot of scenery in this one. If you look on the sort of art card they give you, she's actually sat on top of sort of what appears to be a sort of old rusty bit of ship of some description. You could maybe have a sort of underwater, sort of underwater scene or something, and there's actually sort of two bits of ship that the model comes with. So we'll grab these out, and again these are pretty huge bits of resin, as you can see. Plenty of sort of gates and bits needing cleaning up and things like that. These kind of areas are channels where her body actually runs. So you can see she's sort of sat on there, and that'll go through like that sort of thing. Again, I haven't really test fitted these because these are pretty much straight out of the cast, out of the bag even. And again, some really nice work on these actually. They're going to paint up quite well for sort of rusty ship effect. Some really nice, so there we go, some really fine details on there. There's a few rivets and the occasional space where they're missing, all that kind of thing, so you can really go to town on your rust effects. And you've got joists running up the inside of it as well, and all sorts of bits and bobs. Minor bit of cleanup needed to actually mount it on a base. Again, you can just see where it's been sort of cut out of its casting area, things like that. So a little bit of cleaning up. That gate will need removing and things like that. But again, minor work really. So that's the major bit. She sits on top in these two lugs, and you've got another bit here. And this is literally just a spare bit if you wanted to use it, so you can have sort of one bit standing up like that on the base and the other bit behind it like that, just to give it a bit of interest really. So again, just a lug needs lopping off there, smoothing down. This one is actually designed to be at an angle. The base is sort of flat there, so you want that to be at an angle, so you can have it anywhere you want really, but it's designed to sort of sit behind the other bit. Also, this is the sort of lower body going out to the final tail, and again you've got mounting points. Not quite a nice feature, big and a little hole on the end there, means that you're not going to get the remainder of the tail the wrong way round. And again, same here, you've got block cut out and a bit of a lug there to actually sort of get the body positioned in. And again, the details on this are quite nice. You've got sort of little coin strung up onto her dress. You've got mounting points at the back for the fins, and sort of a bit of the clothing. Just going to need a bit of a clean up there. There's a bit of a dodgy bit of resin went in there by the looks of it, so a bit of clean up, bit of sanding, do that quite nicely. It's incredibly smooth. I mean, this bit is really quite smooth. I mean, that's very, very nice. So they're the sort of big major bits of the model. So here we have the sort of the smaller areas. Let's get these out. There we go. So you've got the remainder of a tail. Oops. So again, you can see it's going to need a lot of cleaning up because there's a gate sticking right out at the end, but on the upside it's sticking out at the end rather than anywhere else. You can see she's got, I'll bring it in slightly, there we go, she's got a bit of material wrapped around the end of her tail, and you can see it's got sort of stitching marks in, and at first I thought that was a dodgy bit of casting, but it's not. It's actually a bit of material sort of just sitting on the end of her tail, and the same with that. Lovely detail work on the actual tail itself. It's got a lot of sort of detail lines put into it, so you could quite easily do washers and things if you were so inclined. I'm not entirely sure how I'd paint this, to be honest. It's going to be an interesting experience if nothing else. So that's the tail. We've got the second part of the body. So we've got a bit of a lug there. It's going to need trimming off, but the nice thing is this is so smooth that it's going to be quite easy to get that to match. A bit of sandpaper, and the same here. There's sort of a bit of a rough section going down there, and you've got a little bit of a bubble, but nothing that a bit of sandpaper and a bit of time won't solve. And again, there's your mounting lugs, so you can see how it fits on with this. So they're going to fit together, sort of something like that. Obviously once everything's cleaned up it'll fit a lot better, and the nice thing is you've actually got sort of material on this end to actually sort of hide the mounting point, hide the join, which is quite nice. It'll probably need a bit of green stuffing anyway. And again, same at this end. This is the end that goes into the tail. So there you go. It'll fit into the tail like that, or well, difficult to say. No, it is that way around. Yeah, it is that way around. So obviously, sort of once the lugs are off, it's all good. Then you've got sort of a couple of little random bits of material and things to sort of stick on. I'm not entirely sure where these go exactly, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. So there's just a few of those to stick on. Then you've got the fins that go down the back, quite sharp and sort of raggedy really. There's also a bit of a hair, and I'm not entirely sure what that is. I don't know. Odd piece. I'll have to have a look at that at some point. And then the final body. So I'll get a close up on this for you. So here we go. So you can see top of her head. It's going to need the hair fitting on it, sort of like that ish, maybe somewhere around there. Anyway, so she's got a fairly plain top on. It's just basically sort of cloth wrapped round her really. She's got a choker with a sort of necklace coming off of it, and she's got sort of rings and bits coming out of her hair and sort of off her back and things, and she's got a bit holding up her dress, which comes around to there quite nicely. Again, very smooth sculpt. You can see the shine. You can see the shine on it. Might actually need roughing up, or you're going to have trouble getting paint to stick to that, even primer. I've had that before on some stuff. If we come down to the hands, you can see they're ever so slightly webbed. That's not actually sort of flashing or anything. They are supposed to be webbed. And she's got a sort of leather bracer on, some very nice detail running down her arms. She's only got that on one arm though. And then this is the section that joins to the top of the thing. There's a bit of a lug there. It's just going to need clipping off, and then the rest of it fits quite nicely onto the mounting point there. So that's the way she's going to look. I'll just zoom this out for you. So there you go. So you can see that's sort of how she's going to look. I can't actually get her all in frame at once, but she is going to be massive, absolutely massive. When she's done, her tail sort of wraps around and comes through, and then sort of back through here, and then sort of round, and all that kind of thing. And you can sort of see on the art picture, you can sort of see how her tail sort of comes around, wraps around, and then comes down, sort of down to the front. So you're going to end up with her tail sort of coming out, the final fins on the tail coming out the side there. But again, considering this is quite a small company that's only just started, really, these are fantastic miniatures, and in all honesty I can't wait to see more from them. So yeah, I'll put links in the description and everything like that, so that you guys can go and have a look at them, and I highly recommend you do, because these are gorgeous miniatures. Alright, cheers guys.